This is the Dual Pro multifunction steel and aluminum dent pulling system from H&S Auto Shop. This system runs on 110, 115 volt common shop power and features a single torch setup for both steel and aluminum repair. You can see I've got the tool set up on my positive ground and my control wire. And I'll kind of go through the machine first and go through some of the orientation of the functions. On the left side of the machine, you can see the control mode. We have 2T or a manual, and we have an automatic mode. I can go between those modes by pressing up or down in this section of the control mode. 2T means that I have to press the trigger to activate the machine. Automatic means once I have the tool up against the panel, it'll automatically weld to the panel. In the middle here I have a function selection, and we have 4 modes that this machine can operate on: aluminum studs, steel tabs, weld-on slide hammer, and steel stud setting. Now you can see here I have 5 different power settings from low to high, and I can change each one of those settings by simply going minus or positive on those power settings. But kind of out of the box, each of these settings has a preset. We can change those settings if we want to, but really we can use any of these modes we can use for any application that we want to. This is a completely capacitive discharge machine, which means we're going to get a lot of energy for a short amount of time. One of the benefits of this technology is that not only can we do aluminum repair, but we can do steel repair for the newer car panels that are out in the world today, where we're dealing with really thin steels. We don't have any burn through or the E-coat burning off, or any rust or corrosion opportunity on the back side of the panel. We also have a stud contact, and this light will light up when we've made contact, letting us know we're in a good position to press the trigger and either perform that aluminum stud weld or steel stud or tab weld. So again, as I mentioned, we can toggle through these. So as an example, let's say we have aluminum studs, but we really want it at a power level of 5. I can come hold down the up and down arrows right here, and you can see this will blink 3 times. And then my power setting is saved on that setting. So if I were to go down and then come back up, that power level of 5 is saved. So it allows the user to customize these power settings based on their environment and what you're working on. I'm going to go ahead and drop that back down to our power level of 3. Set that, and now we've saved that at power level 3. So right now, this system has just one torch, as I mentioned. Right now, this tool is set up for aluminum repair. You can see there's 5 individual holes. We have 3 ground posts installed for aluminum repair. We only need 2 for aluminum repair. However, we have a 3rd leg we've added onto this tool for extra stability on the panel. But you can see I can unscrew these, and where these other smaller holes or I can reorient those grounds in whatever way I want, depending on how I'm working on the panel or repair. This larger hole and nut is going to be reserved for steel repair, and we'll go through that in a minute. In the middle here we have our collet, which this is holding right now a 4mm, will accommodate a 4mm stud. This tool is also equipped with a 6mm collet to work with 6mm aluminum studs, so a much wider stud for heavy-duty aluminum repair. So when we're talking about aluminum repair specifically, I have a 4mm stud. I'm going to go ahead and load it in the chamber. The torch is spring loaded, and I can adjust my spring tension by just turning this knob left or right. Now when we're setting up our tool for aluminum repair, it's very important that we want the collet to be even with the grounds, and then we want that stud to have a 2 or 3 millimeter stick out as we have pictured here. So we always want to make sure that we have the tool set up in this general orientation for maximum contact and for maximum results when we're applying this tool to an aluminum panel. Another thing that's really important is to brush and prep the panel. So we want to prepare that panel by grabbing a stainless steel brush, and we want to designate that for aluminum, so whatever way we do that in the shop, for us we just wrote an AL here, and we want to go ahead and sand that panel down with a minimum 80 grit. It's really best if we go a little higher grit, so we want a finer sand on the panel. The less grooves on the panel, the better for these studs to attach to. And then every one of these studs has a tiny little nipple here that's going to ignite when we put this down on a panel. If that's not there, these are really one-time use studs. Okay, so I want to go ahead and brush that stud too. That stud might have been sitting in a box, so it's always good to prepare the stud when it's in the collar as well. So we'll come over, and we'll want it. This is a spring-loaded tool, so we'll press down. You can see on the tool behind me, my stud contact is lit up when all my grounds are down and my tool is down, and I'm going to pull the trigger. Then I'm going to lift straight up from the panel, and I've now successfully welded an aluminum stud to an aluminum panel. There's no heat, there's no distortion, there's no burn through on the other side of the panel. So in this application, I would then use a pulling ring. We'll talk about what this tool comes with in a little bit. We'll put a pulling ring and we'll screw that onto these threaded studs, and then we'll use some sort of pulling tool and heat to pull a dent out of the aluminum panel. So with that in mind, we showed you kind of how this tool is set up and how we use it for aluminum repair. I'm going to go ahead and change out the nose and change out these grounds to be capable for steel repair. So I'm going to grab the included wrench, and I'm just going to remove these smaller ground rings. We don't need these anymore. We'll place these off in a space by themselves. The really cool part about this tool is in about 30 to 45 seconds, I can transfer this tool from being an aluminum repair tool to a steel repair tool as well. I'll go ahead and take these legs off. I'm going to remove that 4mm collet. For this application, I'm going to show steel tabs. So I'm going to put my steel tool in here. And then I was talking about earlier the space reserved for the steel side. I have a steel ground ring. It's very different than the aluminum ground ring. So I'm going to put this ground pin on. And we'll just kind of get it place held for right now and tighten it down. But what I really want to do is go ahead and load that tab up, which I'm going to do right now. And I want to orient the tool so that the ground is just below the end of my whatever I'm trying to do, whether it's a tab, whether it's a stud. So I'm going to kind of position that, because again, we're going to use this spring-loaded design so that my tab meets my ground on my piece of steel. So I'm going to come down. Again, I can use this on any power setting. I'm going to leave it on the same one. We're on power level 3. And now I've got a piece of steel, and I've got a steel tab or key. I'm going to come down on the tool. You can see very little spark, very little fire coming from the panel, and you can see on the back side there's no rut, there's no burn through. But what's really cool about tabs is I can quickly twist them off and reuse these. And for maximum pulling power, I can line up a bunch of these in a row and then make a straight line pull. So this tool will accommodate steel tabs, steel studs, wiggle wire, and a weld-on slide hammer that's included with the tool. So now we'll kind of talk about what the tool comes with. This tool is equipped out of the box with some starter aluminum studs, both 4 and 6mm studs, both 4 and 6mm swivel pulling rings, a 6mm collet for 6mm studs. Obviously, we talked about our grounds that we had on the tool prior. And on the steel side, I'm going to get a bunch of different attachments for both steel studs, wiggle wire, mold rivets, and then starter accessories. So I have studs, I have the tab adapter we showed you, some extra tabs, both straight and twisted tabs, some starter wiggle wire, and a weld-on slide hammer. So if I want to make this tool usable for weld-on slide hammer, I'm going to attach the slide hammer, and the manual goes through how to connect this cable and lead to the gun, but I'm going to plug that up essentially right where that tab adapter was. So last but not least, the tool comes with a tab shooter. This is a really cool tool. We showed you how we loaded a tab and applied a tab. This is a quick loading accessory that will actually hold up to 40 tabs, so I can quickly put a tab down, semi-automatic style, and then load another in the chamber very quickly for laying a lot of tabs down in a very quick way. So again, this is a dual pro multifunction steel and aluminum dent pulling system from H&S Auto Shop.